Yes, good morning, good afternoon, Indira. Sorry, it's Indra Bhalotia. Okay, you're a new student. Okay. So I will be completing the second chapter today of this consumer equilibrium, Indra. Okay. So since you are a new student, just go through about the study material which I have given in the group, or any help if you want you can take it down, or you can ask me, sorry, you can ask me in the WhatsApp. I have completed the first chapter of micro, your micro having first one chapter I've completed. Today I will complete the second chapter, it was continuing. So see the last topic, I think you will face some problem in it, then also listen to it. Okay, so it's consumer equilibrium by indifference curve analysis. Now, a consumer equilibrium refers to a situation in which a consumer derives maximum satisfaction with no intention to change it and subject to given prices and his given income. So when a consumer will be in equilibrium, when a consumer will be satisfied, when first of all he is happy with his good, second of all he can able to purchase that particular good with the income which he has. Okay, so a equilibrium is a state of rest, which I have told you. A equilibrium is a state of rest. And whenever a consumer will reach to this equilibrium, a consumer is always in a resting position or in a satisfied position, or he or she do not want to change his or her place. So what will be the equilibrium condition? When the slope of the indifference curve is equal to the slope of budget line. Okay, so what it is telling, it is telling slope of indifference curve is equals to slope of budget line. Okay, then I have told you in the previous classes that slope of budget line is being derived from marginal rate of substitution x and y. And what is this marginal rate of substitution? It is the rate when x and y are two goods which you are consuming, when you are substituting x for y, or you are substituting y for x. See what is the formula written here for MRS of xy. Unit of y sacrificed by unit of x gained. I have told previous classes also that if you want to consume any extra unit of one good, say for x, you have to sacrifice y. Because why? Because your income is constant, which is for example 5,000. Then with that 5,000 income, you cannot consume both the goods in a large amount. If for example your 5,000 you are just using totally for to consume both x and y, and you are no more money is left in your hand. Now after investing your 5,000 rupees between these two goods, if you want to consume more of x, you have to sacrifice some amount of y. Then only you can able to consume more of x. Yes or not? So this is the formula. MRS xy is unit of y sacrificed by unit of x gain is equals to slope of budget line is being derived from price ratio px by py, which I have told yesterday, that slope of budget line is also known as price ratio, also known as market rate of exchange, MRE. So its formula is px by py, price of x by price of y. When these two slope of indifference curve and budget line will be equal, then you can tell that consumer is in equilibrium situation. Okay, so this is the first condition to prove equilibrium condition of the consumer. What will be the second equilibrium condition? That MRS, marginal rate of substitution, should fall continuously, means it should not rise, means it should hold the theory that if you want to consume more of one good, you have to sacrifice the other good. So indifference curve must be convex to the origin at the point of equilibrium unless MRS falls. I have told you that the indifference curve is always a bowl shaped. It is always a U shaped. Okay, see, I have drawn here also. See this U shaped. You know also from the previous classes that this is indifference curve is always U shaped. Okay, now this convexity, this is known as a convex curve. Whenever the curve is U shaped, it is a convex curve. Now unless and until this MRS falls, the indifference curve will not be convex. So what it is telling here? Indifference curve must be convex to the origin at the point of equilibrium unless MRS falls. So when only MRS will fall or the MRS theory will hold, then only the indifference curve will become a convex curve. So this is the equilibrium condition. These are the 2 points to become the consumer to reach at equilibrium. Now the question may arise, always for a consumer, is it possible to stay in the equilibrium position? For example, when your parents tells you to stay at home, is it possible for you to stay 24 hours at home? No. Sometimes you move out for your entertainment, for your happiness, and after some time period, you return back to your home. The same thing, sometimes the consumer may deviate from this equilibrium condition. Now, when the equilibrium condition deviates, it's the consumer's duty to come back to this equilibrium position again. Slope of indifference curve is equals to slope of the budget line. MRS of XY equals to price ratio PX by PY. Okay, now we will see some cases. Now, consumer may deviate from the equilibrium condition. Deviate means move from the equilibrium condition. Then what are the disequilibrium cases? What will be the disequilibrium cases? After deviation, after moving out, what will be the cases? First one, when MRS of XY is greater than PX by PY, means unit y sacrifice by unit x gain is greater than px by py. This is the formula of MRS of xy. This may be the case, disequilibrium case, or this may be the case, MRS of xy is less than px by py, unit y sacrifice by unit x gain less than px by py. These two are the disequilibrium case. Now, what is your duty? What is the consumer's duty? The consumer's duty is to go back to this equilibrium condition to make MRS of XY equals to PX by PY. The consumer anyhow has to return back from this disequilibrium situation to the equilibrium situation. Now the question comes, how the consumer will move to the equilibrium situation from disequilibrium situation. How? Let's see. assumption has been told that price of X and Y will not change. Assume, think of it. Economics is all meant of thinking, assuming. Think of it that X and Y, price of X and price of Y are constant. You cannot change anything here. You can only change something here. How you will change? Now see students, this total portion is greater, isn't it or not? Your duty is this is lower. Okay, see this much. Your duty is to reduce this whole portion and bring it equal to this right hand side. Then you can tell, okay, MRS of XY is equals to PX by PY. Now how you will reduce this left hand side total thing? Now students, see one thing. If you start consuming, I will tell you one concept. See the mathematical expression 2 by 10 is how much? 5 equals to 1 by 5. Okay, equals to how much? It will come after solving this one. It will come? 0.2. Now I am increasing the numerator. One by 6. See, it is reducing something, 0.1 something. So from here, what you can see, if the numerator is increasing, the total thing is decreasing. When it was 2 by 10, after solving it is coming 0.2. But when it was 2 by 16, 2 by 12, it is coming lesser. Means if numerator increase, the total fraction will go down, isn't it? So bring this concept here. In anyhow, I have to reduce this thing. I have to bring back this thing here. How I can reduce? If I will start consuming more of X only, and as I will consume more of X, I have to sacrifice more of Y. And in this case, slowly this portion, whole fraction will come down and it will become equals to this MRS XY equals to PX by PY. What I have done? If numerator is increased, the total fraction will decrease. So, this mathematical concept I am putting here. If I will start consuming more of X, so the numerator will automatically increase. Then I have to reduce the consumption of Y. Okay, then I have to reduce the consumption of Y. Then in that case also, this whole fraction will come down and it will be equal to my right hand side. Isn't it or not? We are going to the equilibrium case. Then coming to the next portion. MRS of XY is less than PX by PY. What is it telling? Unit Y sacrificed by unit X gain less than PX by PY. Now this left hand side portion is less and right hand side portion is more. What I will do? I have to increase this left hand side. How I can increase this left hand side? If I will consume less of X, then I can able to consume more of Y. As I am reducing X consumption, I will be increasing Y consumption. And in that case, what happens? Slowly, it will increase and left hand side will be equals to right hand side. What I have done? I have to increase this left hand side. Since my right hand side is increased, I cannot change the right hand side. I can only change the left hand side. Now, if I will consume less of X, then what it is telling? It is telling that I want to consume more of Y. That's why I am consuming less of X. Because the concept of marginal rate of substitution is what? When you're consuming more of one commodity, when you're consuming less of one commodity, means you want to consume another commodity more. So here I am consuming less of X. Then I may start consuming more of Y. So the numerator is rising. So what happens? The left hand side comes equals to the right hand side. And we again move to the equilibrium condition, which is MRS of XY equals to ratio of price or price ratio PX by PY. This is the total working theoretical or mathematical expression how the consumer can able to reach to the equilibrium condition. Now if we will show this theoretical portion into diagrammatical way, we can able to show. See, AB is my budget line. And what I have told, the slope of the budget line must be equals to the slope of the indifference curve, and then only the consumer will reach to the equilibrium situation. So the slope of the budget line is AB, and the which indifference curve is just tangent or just touching the budget line? Indifference curve 2. So point E is the equilibrium situation. Point E is your equilibrium situation. And in that equilibrium situation, the consumer is satisfied with OM amount of X commodity and ON amount of Y commodity. Means this is its equilibrium situation. See, there are more two indifference curve, IC1, IC3, but they are not they are indifference curve, but they are not the equilibrium case because they are not touching or just tangent to the budget line. Indifference curve 3 is higher than the budget line, gone outside, which is unattainable. And indifference curve 1 is cutting 2 times the budget line, which is not possible. So indifference curve 2, which is just tangent to the budget line, is at that point only the consumer feels satisfied or its resting place. And the equilibrium quantity of X is OM and equilibrium quantity of Y is ON. So what it is written here? The budget line is tangent to indifference curve 2 at point E. This is the point of consumer equilibrium where the consumer purchases OM quantity of good X and ON quantity of good Y. Okay, so at this point only the 2 points of consumer equilibrium condition, this MRS XY is equals to PX by PY, which is satisfied at point E. Okay, and second, MRS continuously falls, means the slope of the indifference curve is continuously falling. This condition is also satisfied here. So we can tell that at point E, the consumer is in equilibrium case. Coming to the book page I will go through it. You will see in this figure, indifference curve 1, indifference curve 2 and indifference curve 3 are the three indifference curves, and AB is the budget line. Okay, with the constraints of budget line, the highest indifference curve which a consumer can reach is indifference curve 2. Highest means the equilibrium indifference curve which the consumer can able to attain is indifference curve 2. The budget line is tangent to indifference curve IC2 at point E. This is the point of consumer equilibrium where the consumer purchases OM quantity of commodity X and ON quantity of commodity Y. All other points on the budget line to the left or right of point E will lie on the lower indifference curves and thus indicate a lower level of satisfaction. Means all the other indifference curve will not provide, either provide very high satisfaction, either provide very lower. Very high satisfaction not possible because higher satisfaction is good for consumer, but we can tell here that indifference curve 3 will be providing, the consumer cannot able to attain it because the budget is crossing. The indifference curve 3 or the bundle of good in indifference curve 3 is unattainable because consumer budget is this much only, but the choosing are this much, so it is not possible. And indifference curve 1 provides lesser satisfaction, that also the consumer will not accept it. So better the consumer will best suit that indifference curve 2. Okay, as budget line can be tangent to one and only one indifference curve, consumer maximizes his satisfaction at point E when both the conditions of consumer's equilibrium are satisfied. 1. MRS is equals to Px by Py at tangency point T. This is known as tangency point. This E point is known as tangency point. Okay. So at tangency point E, the absolute value of the slope of indifference curve MRS between X and Y and that of the budget line price ratio are same. Equilibrium cannot be established at any other point at MRS XY greater than Px by Py and MRS XY less than Px by Py, because these two are the disequilibrium case which I have showed you in mathematical expression at all points to the right of point E. So equilibrium is established at point E when MRS of XY equals to Px by Py. And second condition is also fulfilled here. MRS continuously falls. The second condition is also satisfied at point E as MRS is diminishing at point E, that is indifference curve is convex to the origin at point E. See, MRS is diminishing. I have told convexity. See, after at point E you can see the indifference curve is falling. It is going down. This is only for the MRS. The indifference curve is downward sloping, and for MRS only indifference curve is convex. That's why both these two condition holds at point E. So the point E is the consumer equilibrium point. Now there is argument between the cardinal and ordinal utility. Okay, argument between cardinal and ordinal is what? Under cardinal utility approach, it is assumed that utility can be measured in cardinal terms, means in numerical terms 1, 2, 3. However, according to the ordinal utility approach, utility is a subjective constant which cannot be measured and we can just rank the scale of preferences. I have told previously that your feelings, your satisfaction level, you cannot able to measure it. If I'll tell you from the first mango how much number you have satisfied, can you able to tell? For one glass of water how much you have satisfied, can you able to tell? No, you can't able to tell. But if I will tell you, compare, you have eaten one mango, one apple, then if I will tell you that tell me from which fruit you have got satisfied more, then you can able to tell, okay, I like apple more than mango, or you can tell me I like mango more than apple. So satisfaction, you can, ordinal utility tells that goods can be compared between each other, but goods cannot be given some numerical terms. Next point, under cardinal approach, the term util was developed as a unit of measure utility, whereas no such unit of measurement was developed under ordinal approach. So we can tell that utility, like weight, like height, you can able to give unit of measurement. For weight you give kg, for height you give centimeter, inches, but this has been told. So for utility, measuring instrument is util. Okay, 2 util, 3 util, but ordinal approach has told there should not be any unit of measurement, because you cannot able to measure utility, so there should not be any measurement instruments, okay, for to measure what? Utility. And so what is the example here again? Suppose a person consumes apple and banana. According to cardinal approach, the consumer can assign utils to both the commodities, say 20 utils to apple and 15 utils to banana. Means a consumer, after consuming a apple and banana, he or she can able to tell that from apple they have got 20 utils and from banana they have got 15 utils. It signifies that apple offers 5 more utils than banana. So from here you can tell that okay, the consumer has got more utility from apple than of banana. But according to the ordinal approach, the consumer cannot express the satisfaction in exact numerical terms. It means if the consumer likes apple more than banana, then he will give first rank to apple and second rank to banana. Means if the consumer like more apple than banana, then the consumer can only able to rank it. They can give rank to the fruit, but they cannot able to give numerical utils to the fruits, because satisfaction or utility cannot be measured in numerical terms. It's all about your feelings. Okay, so this is the ending of the chapter. Here we are completing the second chapter of micro. Next we will start with the stat book, which I have not catched or touched yet. I'll be providing you with the notes, relevant notes and question answers, which you will write in your copy, and with date and the name written. You will take the photos or snapshots of those answers which you will write, make a PDF of it and send it to my personal WhatsApp number so that I can able to check it. Okay, so do it. I will be sending you the questions and questions related to this chapter number 2. All the answers you will get from the study material. Thank you.